All right. I think we're good to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome to the stream for this week. We're going to be doing another principle of design. We're going to be talking about unity and harmony. It is also Halloween the 1st. So um, I will be, I think my illustrations are going to be a little bit more kind of monster based from this point forward for the month of Halloween or the month of October, whatever. Hello, Drew. Welcome in. But yeah, we are going to be talking about unity and harmony, and we're going to be talking a bit about the principles of design for this stream. So, before we get going, though, as always, let's talk a bit about the studio. If you didn't know, our growing community is filled with tons of art nerds, and we art nerds have to stick together. So if you're an art nerd too, be sure to check out the links to our social media in the description below, and check out our website for our class offerings, where you can get critique, guidance, and encouragement from our instructors. Because we're not just a YouTube channel, we're an art school too. So if you'd like to support us so we can keep making free content, consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $2 a month, where you can get access to tons of perks like my working files, critique sessions, and a huge discount on our classes that have a limited amount of spots, so be sure to check those out before they are gone. All right. Hello, Riley. Welcome in. Excellent. So we'll be talking about Unity today. Oh, I should pop out the chat just so I can still read the chat while I look at my notes, because I do need to look at my notes this time around. Okay. So, Unity and Harmony. Unity and Harmony, we kind of bunch them together just because they're pretty similar when it comes to their definitions and what they are. So our friend Google states that Unity and Unity, we're going to start with Unity. Unity is the overall cohesiveness of a composition. Oh yeah, we're still in Photoshop. I tried to fix it again this week, but not working. So hopefully I'll see if I can figure something out next week again. It's been a while since we've been in Medibank, and I apologize. Nope, that's not it. Composition. That's been created with the elements of art. It's also considered oh my god, there's a fruit fly that's like flying by my face. The most important principle. Wow. So unity is the overall cohesiveness of a composition that's been created with the elements of art. I'm gonna rewrite elements because that's been written terribly. And it's also considered the most important principle. And yes, hello, welcome in Silent YouTube. But yes, the overall cohesiveness of a composition that's been created with the elements of art, right? It is also considered the most important principle, right? Your unity is what makes your artwork feel cohesive, right? It's what makes your artwork feel like correct, right? If you have like your unity is what makes things come together, basically. You'd think it's easy to explain, but then it's like you actually have to explain it, and you're like, well, how do I explain this? Right? So it is the overall cohesiveness of a composition that's been created with the elements of art. Oops. It's considered the most important principle, and repetition is how you get unity. And we'll talk about repetition in a bit, but repetition is also another principle of design, so we won't really get into it. But repetition is pretty easy to to kind of, repetition is a bit easy to kind of figure out what that means, right? It's just repeated elements, right? Unity comes from repeating things over and over, right? Because then it feels like it's all within the same subject matter, all feels really nice within it, right? So unity and harmony. Let's talk a bit about harmony as well. So harmony is the use of elements, or sorry, uses the elements of art to emphasize the similar parts of different elements. Togetherness through difference. Right, so your harmony uses the elements of art to emphasize the similar parts of different elements. Actually, I should put the different, not different elements, different, what word should I use? Because you can also say the elements of a piece. It's not necessarily the objects. Different things. I'll just say different things. Right, so it uses the elements of art to emphasize the similar parts of different things. Right, it's like maybe things are the same color, maybe things are the same texture, stuff like that, right? Even though it is like, maybe if you have like a truck next to a person, right? They might not be, they're clearly not the same object, but maybe the person's wearing like a red shirt, the truck is red, right? That causes a bit of harmony, causes a bit of unity, right? So it creates togetherness through difference of objects, right? An easy way to think about it is that unity is the what, harmony is the how. No, I should have restarted Photoshop. Right, so unity is the what and harmony is the how, right? What do you need within your piece? You need unity, and that's how you make the, and that's like what you use to make the whole piece seem like it's put together. However, harmony is how you do that, right? You need to find similar things that echo within each object or each item that you have within your piece in order for them to feel cohesive and unified. Right, so you need a little bit of them. Hello, Socktinus, welcome in. So unity is the what, harmony is the how. The thing with unity is that there is no simple recipe. Did I spell that right? Yeah, I think so. No simple recipe to unity or harmony. Must use context of the piece to create. Must use context of the piece to create unity in a unique way. Right, so unity is the what and harmony is the how, but there is no simple recipe to create unity or harmony, and you must use the context of your art piece to create unity in a unique way, right? Every single piece will have a different thing that connects it with unity, right? Because too much unity equals flatness. Variety is needed for visual interest. Right, and variety is another principle of design that we'll go over pretty soon eventually. But if you have too much unity, then it makes your entire piece feel very flat, makes it feel very one-dimensional, doesn't have any interest to it, right? So variety is what you need in order to create that visual interest, to make people look at your piece and go, oh, that's interesting, that's really cool to look at. because if you have like maybe only one color, or you just have one shape over and over, maybe it's just a polka dot that you have over and over. Am I shading a particular artist? Maybe. Right, so you need to have that variety in order to have some kind of visual interest. So, I'm freezing in my basement drawing. Oh no, maybe move out of your basement if it's too cold there. Oh, I need to make this much longer. So let's talk about some different examples. Oh, I can probably crop that upwards. Let's talk about some different examples of unity and harmony in relation to the elements of art, right? Because the elements of art are what, and the principles of design are how when it comes to making an art piece. How do you make the elements of art look good? It's with the principles of design. So let's talk about unity and harmony with color. Harmony with... Sorry, I'm late. That's fine, Dr. Pepsi. You're just on time. We've barely started. We've just gone over what unity and harmony is, and we'll be getting into how we can use them. I'd give you that wave emoji, but no clue how. Bottom left of the chat, there's a little smiley face there. You can use the emojis there. Yep, we basically just started. So unity and harmony with color. This is the one that a lot of artists tend to find the easiest to use. Color and shape and form, which we'll get into soon. But the unity and harmony with color, color and value. So this deals with palettes and schemes. Unity can be achieved with just one color, but harmony is created with a... I don't know what's up with my handwriting today. I'm sorry. It's much messier than usual. Harmony is created with a good color scheme. Right, so your color and value with unity and harmony deals with palettes and schemes, right? Palettes and color schemes. Unity can be achieved with just one color, but harmony is created with a good color scheme, right? So you can have unity by, let's say we just had like a bunch of guys in the middle of, maybe you just got a bunch of people in the middle of the ocean, right? So then everybody's colored blue. You got different kinds of, you just got a bunch of blue, right? That's all blue. It's unified for sure, but it's kind of boring. So your harmony can be created with a good color scheme. Maybe we can make this palette triadic instead. So instead of the people being all blue, maybe we can use yellow and red, right? A little bit of white in there, and that can make it a nice, more modern, contemporary triadic palette with focal points, with the people being a different color compared to the majority of the water being blue, right? That's getting a little bit more into color theory. But that's pretty much how we would use unity and harmony with color and value, because you can have everything being unified, but you need that harmony in there along with variety in order to bring that visual interest back in there. Right, so unity can be achieved with just one color, but harmony is created with a good color scheme. Oh yeah, harmony is used to create variety. Right, so you could have, like, let's say we had this scheme, which is just like that. This is a bit of a monochromatic scheme, which works. So you could say, like, this is good. Actually, I think it's this color, yeah. So that's still good. It works, right? It works. There's nothing wrong with it. But let's say if we started from monochromatic, we went into something a little bit more like this with a hue shift. Now we're creating something a little bit stronger. So this is better. Is there anything wrong with this one? No. You can absolutely use that, right? But this feels better. And then it'd be even stronger if you had a single splash of yellow in there. And that'd really bring it all back in, right? It makes it feel a little bit more cohesive. It's interesting to look at, feels a little bit stronger, right? So it's good to use this. Absolutely, you can use it, all yours, right? But it's a little bit better to use something that feels a little bit more harmonious. So, the piece of art history we are going to be using, because if you've been here for the past Principles of Design streams, we are also going to be using an example from history, right? This time around, by the way, I've chosen a lot of very historical pieces. Like, I mean, historical, like, 1700s for a lot of them, right? This is the only one that's from the 1900s, and that's Boy with a Pipe by Pablo Picasso. Another work by Picasso that does not look like a Picasso work, and those tend to be my favorites for some reason. Alright, Nightbot. Nightbot is here to make you succumb into liking our channel. So this is Boy with a Pipe. By Picasso. Painted in 1905. So this piece is from Picasso's Rose period, right? A lot of people talk about his Blue period. That tends to be the more like famous one. There's gonna be a Blue period gallery, a gallery near us, right? But A Boy with a Pipe is part of his Rose period, which is a lesser known period of Picasso's artwork. And this period is when Picasso started to use a lot of cheerful and warm colors compared to his Blue period, which was prior to his Rose period. The Rose period was when he started to use a lot of reds, he used a lot of oranges, he used a lot of yellows, pinks, right? It felt very rosy, and that's why it's called the Rose period, right? So he used a lot of warm colors. And in this case, he used an orange underpainting. To make the piece feel more warm. Oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't include this because it is technically my work, so I'm gonna delete that real quick. So I'll just turn these images on and off as the lesson goes on. But his Picasso guy's pretty good. Yeah, he's not bad. It's his later work that's a little bit more well known because Picasso was a cubist. That's what he was most well known for, but he did train more classically within more realistic artwork. But yeah, so even though we're more familiar with his Blue period, he also had a Rose period. What's interesting as well is that this entire piece feels very, very warm, not just because of the orange painting, underpainting, not just because of the majority of the warm colors being used, but what's funny is that these are also complementary, right? You got your blue, you got your orange, or violet and orange, right? Which is apparently, as I've learned today, the proper complementary palette colors from a more contemporary palette, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today. What we will be talking about instead is color association. So because this entire piece is very, very orange, very, very warm, even though this blue over here, these blues over here, right, are colder colors, because they're next to a lot of warmer colors, they feel warm by comparison. They feel a little bit warmer by comparison. So if they were just on their own, right, say if this orange was turned a little bit more blue, right, then the entire piece would feel a lot colder. However, because it is underpainted with orange, if I actually color pick this, it's more of a magenta, right, because of the color association, we see this blue over here, which is a bright, more ultramarine. But if I select from other areas, it's more of a magenta, more of a pink. It kind of goes through a range in this area. And it makes that blue just feel a tad more warm, which is what we are trying to feel this time around. Definitely a rose period, yeah. Keep an eye on this guy. I think he just might make it. He's got the right stuff. Yeah, man. Maybe one day we'll see him make it. He definitely didn't pass away like 40 years ago. Okay. More than 40 years. I don't remember when exactly. Oh, definitely more than 40 years. I'm done. Anyway. So that's color and value, right? That's unity and harmony with color and value. Let's talk about unity and harmony with texture. We're not going to go through every single element of art. We're going to go through just the ones that I have decided to choose, which is color, value, texture, shape and form, and line. That is 4 categories. It's not 5, or it's not 6, but we're going to be going over them in succession. So, texture is the one we will be talking about next. Unity through texture is basically just similar or the same textures. Used within a piece to create a sense of unity. Can be as simple as the texture of a canvas. Oops. Why digital artists? Use a texture. Oops. Overlay. Okay, so texture is basically just similar or the same textures used within a piece to create a sense of unity. So if we have, say, everything is rough within a piece, that's unity. Say everything is smooth within a piece, that's unity. Obviously, you're going to have some differentiating things within there to create more variety, but in general, if it's all pretty similar, that's a similar texture, right? It can be as simple as the texture of the canvas, right? It doesn't even need to be like, oh, there's a bunch of rocks in there, that means that there's unity, or perhaps it's like just a portrait of a person, and you don't really have any physical textures on there other than the texture of the canvas, and that overarching texture of the canvas or your paper behind it creates a sense of unity through texture because everything has that similar texture. It's why some digital artists use a texture overlay, right? Sometimes you'll see digital artworks and their final step will be to find a more crumpled sheet of paper or a kind of like gritty texture, a gritty texture, like paper texture that they put on top of their artwork. They can switch that to an overlay layer, or a multiply layer, whichever one they prefer. And that'll give their entire piece that texture, which is what they want sometimes. And it gives a nice sense of unity when it brings everything back together. Right, so it can be with physical materials, implied texture, oops, or physical techniques. Right, so it could be with physical materials. Maybe if you have a more collage-y artist, maybe they use a bunch of eggshells, maybe they use plastic, right? That's a more physical material that can create that unity through texture. You can have implied texture. Maybe you're just drawing that texture right on there, or digitally, right? Maybe you're just digitally adding that texture on there. Or it can be with physical techniques. If you think about paints, right? Maybe if they're working with acrylic or oil, they're using the impasto technique, which is a form of overlaying blobs of paint that can create a real texture. It's like a literal texture, but it is done with the artistic technique behind it. So that's a bit of texture. Let's talk a bit about the piece that I've chosen, again, I'm going like pre-1500s for a lot of these, just because I thought it'd be kind of fun. So, this is it's a carved detail. This isn't a wagon, created from the Viking period. Because it's so old, we actually don't know who the artist is, but it was created at around the year 800. So not even in the thousands yet. So this is a carved detail from the Oseberg wagon. And it's a very literal type of how do I use eggshell in digital art. That one, eggshell has a very cracked texture. It's basically just gives it a nice kind of cracked looking texture. What eggshell does is that eggshell is very easy to dye, like with colors. So what they do is they dye, like they make a hard boiled egg, they eat the egg probably, or they throw it out, which is such a big waste. But they'll probably eat the egg, they'll crush up the eggshells, and they'll dye them, like with like thinking, a dye kit, like how you make Easter eggs. And then they'd crack them up and place them and glue them onto a canvas or on a sheet of paper, and then it's like almost creating a stained glass or collage sort of effect. So in that case, I don't really 100% know how you'd mimic it with digital work, but I'm assuming you'd probably just use a bunch of broken up pieces, like broken up flat pieces, and you can just paint bucket them in. Difficult, but I'd or not difficult, but tedious, but I'd encourage you to try it. But yeah, so this is a carved detail from the Oseberg wagon, which is Viking art from year 800. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm sorry. But this is a very literal type of unity with texture, where it is directly carved from wood. Right, it is directly carved into wood, so that means that everything has a wooden texture. Right, the natural differences within the wood, however, create harmony and variety. So, wood, even though it's one piece of wood, it's one type of wood, it doesn't have perfect staining on it. There's a little bit of varnish on there. I don't know how they varnished back then. But there is, variety within the color of the wood, not necessarily the texture, because it is all just one texture, but it gives it that sense of harmonious detail within there. The carved patterns also cause a similar texture in the surface of the piece. So there's a lot of this similar, like these V textures that you see a lot of the zigzags. They probably feel pretty similar, but there are some differentiating carves within there, which also gives it a nice sense of variety. Am I doing Inktober? The traditional artists on the Discord are going to love it, including me. I am going to be doing a version of Inktober. I saw a prompt list that was just design a demon every day. I think I'm going to do that one. Just for fun. Okay. Sorry, let me check a couple things, because suddenly everything has stopped for a minute. Okay. Ragnar Ragnarsson used the skulls of his enemies to varnish his art. Warrior poet. Interesting. So he used a lot of a completely different material. Yeah, because older varnish was with more natural materials. Some people use fish oil, I think that was one of them. But now we have synthetic varnish, which is like, it's plastic based, it'll last for like ever. Sorry, we're going a little bit off topic. Sorry, didn't mean to send it that early. That's fine. Some people, if you've ever watched art restoration, they will have to take off old varnish that has yellowed a lot, and it's really interesting to hear them talk about the more natural types of varnish that they have to take off, because sometimes they're made with more natural material compared to our synthetic varnish that we have today. Because some of the synthetic varnish that we can buy is like, UV protected, so you don't even need to worry about it yellowing with time, because the UV rays won't affect it. Which is really interesting. I think that's really cool, the technology. Okay, so texture. We're gonna be moving on to shape and form. If you didn't notice already, these more lecture-y ones with the principles of design are going to be a little bit longer in terms of the lecture portion. So hang tight. We got one more after the shape and form. So unity and harmony with shape or form, very similar to the other ones, right? It's a similar use. I must varnish everything. Most people don't varnish unless it's paint or oils. They usually only varnish more traditional media that won't be affected by the varnish. Like if you use graphite, you varnish it, it'll probably ruin it because it's a liquid. So most of the time, people only use varnish with oil paints, oil pastels, maybe chalk pastel, acrylic paint, just paint in general. Maybe not watercolor, but with paint in general, usually is what they use varnish on, but don't recommend it for everything. So similar use of shapes or forms to create a sense of unity. Shape, form. Ooh, yes, indeed. Shapes and forms are usually people's favorite when it comes to the sense of unity, just because it tends to be popular. Because, oops, sorry. Sorry, I'm apologizing to the fruit fly that I have just vanquished. I squished on my tablet screen. Are you kidding me? It's okay. Tends to be popular because of how obvious. I'll just go on the next line. Obvious. It is. Right, so unity within your shape and form is a similar use of shapes and forms to create a sense of unity. And it tends to be popular because of how obvious it is. You like, you look at an art piece first. What do you notice first? It's the objects that are within the piece, right? If it's like, if you have a person there, you notice the person first. If it's like a pattern, you notice the pattern first. You notice your shapes and forms first before everything else, right? Because of silhouettes and all that fun jazz. So unity with shapes and forms tends to be the most popular one to use, especially with more contemporary art, because of how obvious it is upon first glance. However, use of the same shapes or forms in over can become boring or repetitive. So using grounded or sharp edges or creating similarities. Oh, within different forms creates harmony. Sorry, Nightbot, bring me my varnish. I must preserve the stream. Encase me in varnish. That's how I want to go. Be pretty sick. So the use of the same shapes and forms over and over can become boring and repetitive. If you use nothing but circles within a piece, right? Maybe it's abstract, but like if you're just using circles, yes, or you're creating unity, but man, it's boring. You're not really doing much with them. There are other ways to make variety with using the exact same shape over and over, but overall, it's it's kind of boring. It's whatever, right? So usually, it's better to use different elements and create similarities within different forms because that will create your harmony. So say if you have, this is a very big designer's technique. If you're designing a character, I know we talked about character design, but let's talk about it again. So say if you're designing a character and you need to come up with a bunch of different design elements in there, a great way to create harmony within their design is if you have very similar kinds of forms within their design. If you have a very round character, most of their design elements will also be round, bouncy, kind of nothing will be very sharp within their design. You want that kind of harmony within their entire design by making the majority or all of their design elements rounded. It creates a sense of bubbliness. If you think about, let's think about this for a second with characters that we already know, right? You think of Kirby. every single element, very simple looking character, but every single element within him is all rounded, right? Same with Mario. Same with Mario. Mario, you think of the Animal Crossing characters, right? Everything like that. They're all very rounded, very small, very cute, very simple. And that within their design, that creates a sense of unity, or creates a sense of harmony, because every single element of their design echoes back into the original design. They all echo each other. That's a way you can say it. So if I ever am designing something, I go, oh, I need this to echo back within the design. That's what I'm talking about. Because it needs to feel harmonious. It needs to feel balanced, but we're not talking about balance yet. It needs to feel unified with itself. Just circle, yeah, like Kirby. But Kirby has variety in a very simplistic, very unified design, but he has variety in other ways, and that's just because of the copy abilities. But yeah, okay. So using rounded or sharp edges to create similarities within different forms creates harmony, and that harmony is what makes your pieces feel very, very nice and smooth. So another ancient piece of artwork that I'm going to be using to explain this one. Hey, hello, Optic Deviant, welcome in. Think about some over-designed JoJo character. Yes. That's called maximalism. Some characters are very maximalist. Another character you might want to think of is Bayonetta. She's very, very maximalist. But she has unity through her color rather than through her shapes or forms. She uses a very dark palette, which is like, it looks great. JoJo is very known for very bright colors, but they're actually unified with line, and we'll get into that after this one. So, the ancient artwork we're going to be using for this one is the Aztec Sunstone. People estimate that they actually don't have a year for sure when this one was created. This one is created either in the early 1500s, late 1400s. But this is the Aztec Sunstone, or the Calendar Stone, which is a form of Aztec art from either the late 1400s, early 1500s. So again, pre 1600, pre 1500, and because it's so old, we don't have an artist. But it's a part of history. Hope I'm not late. You're not too late. We are just going through all the different unity and harmony things. We're on Shaper 4. We got one more left. Maximalism for maximal power, perhaps. I always find that I'm not a really big fan. I'm not always a big fan of maximal designs. I usually like simplicity, but I'm also attracted to nice colors and different kinds of lines. But anyway, so the Aztec Sunstone was discovered around the 1700s. They estimate that it was made in the 1400s, 1500s, but it was discovered at around the 1700s. Do I have the exact date? I used to, and apparently it's not in my notes, so we'll just say around the 1700s is when it was discovered. Aztec artwork in general, if you look up Aztec artwork, you look up Mayan artwork, ancient Mexico, Aztec artwork in general is known to be very, very geometric. So there's a lot of precise, sharp edges with very geometric curves interspersed, right? You notice within this design, if I kind of zoom in as much as I can, you'll notice a lot of very harsh, very sharp, precise edges, and everything that's rounded is still very geometric. It's incredible how perfectly circular this is, right? These curves that create this V, right? It's incredible how precise and how advanced this looks for something from the 1500s, with how perfect it is. And that's why it baffles a lot of people how perfect Mayan artwork looks, how well preserved it is. So Mayan and Aztec artwork, this is Aztec, but Mayan and Aztec artwork has a very similar ring in the way of how geometric it is, and that's why it baffles a lot of people. But it has a very distinct look, right? So you can always tell when something looks Mayan or Aztec because of its signature use of shapes and forms. A lot of the times when you think of Aztec art, you kind of have something that goes off in your brain. You go, oh, it's very geometric. It has a lot of very harsh edges with some spirals, circles interspersed in there, but everything still falls within very mathematical geometric forms. The Mayans were a little bit more scientific compared to the Aztecs, but both were very advanced societies for the era that they were in. So, that's kind of our unity and harmony through shape and form. There's a lot of variety in here. It's a bit chaotic, but that unity through shape and form brings it all back together, and it creates a very cohesive style. So incredibly symmetric. I know, it's crazy. They didn't even have rulers. Actually, they probably did, but they're a little more of a rudimentary version of ruler. Not the ones that we use right now. But they created their own calendar. They have their own technology, and it baffles people, and people wonder why their society was destroyed one day, because nobody really knows. Because they were very advanced for their time. Aztecs ate the guys that didn't make symmetric art. This is actually approximate symmetry. It's not perfect symmetry. There are some areas that aren't perfectly symmetrical. So it's called approximate symmetry, but that's going to be talking about within Balance Day, which is not today. Very motivational. All right. So the last one we are going to be talking about is unity and harmony through line. Line is everybody's favorite. Line is the favorite of cartoonists, because it is a very stylized way to create unity and harmony. So it can be with implied line or actual line. Hello, Kirby, welcome in. So it can be similar line weights. Or similar leading lines. Movement. Etc. Right, so line, unity or harmony through line. How are y'all so far? I'm doing all right, Kirby. Hope you're doing good. So line can be used with unity and harmony either in an implied way or an actual way. Like most things within art. It can be either implied or actual. So with an actual line, it's usually similar line weights, usually similar style. If we have very varied line work, that creates unity. If we have a very similar kind of line weight throughout the whole thing, that also creates unity. The line weighting, actually, using a variety of lines, that creates harmony. But if we have kind of one same line weighting throughout, can you do it? Yes. Do I recommend it? Not 100%, but it can look really, really good. I do like working with no line weighting sometimes. But similar line weights are what create unity. Having line weighting at all creates harmony. But in a more implied sense, you can have similar leading lines. Maybe everything is leading towards one place. You can have similar leading lines with movement. Your movement will create... We already talked about movement. If you want the highlight video, it's on our YouTube channel. But with leading lines or with movement, they're more implied. So they're not necessarily all there. But you will have unity through everything moving in the same direction. You'll have unity through... Maybe there's action lines, like literal action lines, or maybe they're just flowing in that direction, or your eyes are leading to one direction, right? So your line can be implied, it can be literal, but unity or harmony through line, very easy to do. That's why a lot of people like using it. Doing fine as always, love to hear it. Oh, I just figured out I can zoom in without pressing the zoom in button. Beautiful. Can't wait to see Bibliomania. Oh, you're reading my layer names. We're gonna get into that. But yes, so that's all the writing portion of lines. So this is going to be our modern day example. Because it is the first of Halloween, we are going to be doing... I decided to pick something a little bit spookier. So Bibliomania is a horror manga. I haven't turned it on yet. Bibliomania is a horror manga, and I'm going to warn you right now. Do I recommend you read it? Yes, it is a fantasy horror. So it is not necessarily within its subject matter. There's nothing too explicit, nothing too crazy, but it is visually a bit spooky. I didn't choose a spooky panel, but visually, Bibliomania is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's very eerie, though. So in terms of its subject matter, it's not very graphic. It's not very anything. So do I recommend it to the youngins? I actually do. But at the same time, it is spooky. So proceed with caution. But it is actually, I think it's appropriate. And just as long as you're okay with spookier looks. Bibliomania is a beautiful manga. It was created in 2016. The artist was Machiro. But it was written by a guy named Orville or Ubaru. Bibliomania is it is spooky month, it is indeed. So Bibliomania is a beautiful manga. It is one of the most detailed line works I've ever seen. Created in 2016. I believe it won an award in 2019. I don't remember for what, but it was a Japanese award for like best manga or something. It's a very short read if you want to find it. Easy to find online. Again, it's spooky in its visuals, but it's not spooky It's more fantasy-esque, so I recommend it. There's nothing really, it's not really gory, it's not really anything. There is body horror, but it's not like scary. Jessie recommends it to the youngins, then it must be alright. Yeah, I chose a non-spooky page spread, but it does get kind of spooky. So, proceed with caution if you do choose to read it. But it's fantastic. 100% recommend if you are more okay with just spooky imagery. I can zoom in on this one so you can kind of see how beautiful this line work is. It is incredibly intricate. It's a very strong lining style. It's somewhat broken up. Overall, it's very, very clean, but it has a lot of it has a bit of a wobblier look to it, which is a bit hard to explain, but it has a very traditional kind of look. You can see some of this is ink wash, so it doesn't look like it's traditionally done. This is ink wash, so what you can kind of see it overflowing onto some other areas if you really zoom in here. I'm one of those losers who actually zooms into artwork. I'm the 1% of people who I warn you about. When I teach my students, it's like 99% of people will never zoom in on your artwork. I am that 1%. So if you kind of zoom in here, you can actually see some of the overflow from some of the ink wash. Over here, you can see a little bit right there. So that's what kind of leads me to believe that it's traditionally done, which is probably the reason for the more wobbly line work style, because it is most likely done with a dip pen. In that case, then, it still has that somewhat rough traditional look, but it creates that sense of unity through that rough look. Without any of the ink wash, obviously I can't remove it for you, but a lot of the intense detail is relied on with the ink wash. If I zoom in some more here, right, you can see that there's a little bit of line weighting, but most of it is very, very similar with its weights. It's very thin, very unified, but it has a very, very distinct, strong style, and that's why you can kind of tell immediately, right? It's Bibliomania, and it's beautiful. Jessie warned me about people like Jessie, basically. I actually like that piece. It kind of had this pirate vibe to it. Yeah. Yeah, no, Bibliomania is gorgeous. I loved the manga. When I read it, I was in shock. A student actually recommended it to me. It was like, we did a style challenge, and I was like, yeah, let's, I was like, just say what you're gonna be using, and it's all yours. Let me just move this up real quick, just so I can get it within the crop. And he decided to create a piece based off of Bibliomania. And I was like, all right, let's look up what Bibliomania is, because I'd never heard of it before. And I looked it up, and I was like, this is gorgeous. I was like, it doesn't look too long. I was like, okay, I'll binge it. Read it in about 20 minutes. I was like, it was beautiful, because there's not a lot of it's not a lot of reading. It's mostly eye candy. But it's a beautiful, beautiful manga. A really fun kind of creepy story behind it. I don't recommend playing with sticky tack. I played with sticky tack all the time when I was a kid. But yeah, so that's our written lesson for today. That's going to be our lecture portion. So we're going to get into the artwork for today. Is there a story behind that recommendation? Yes. So, the very baseline story, I can't give away the whole story without giving away the whole manga, but the very baseline thing is that there's a girl and she enters into a book and she has to find her way out. That's basically the baseline thing of it. But yeah, definitely recommend if you're a bit easier with spooky imagery. Don't recommend if you're not easier with spooky imagery, or if you're not a big fan of spooky imagery, but it's not inappropriate within its subject matter. So feel free to read it. All right. So the final illustration for today, I believe you guys chose harmony or unity through, yeah, you chose unity through color. Bring back the sunstone. The Aztec calendar has actually finished, because it estimated that the world would end in 2012. Clearly, it is not 2012 anymore, so they were wrong. But the Aztec calendar is no longer relevant, if you actually want the history behind it. So because we are doing unity through color, I have decided to, but it's also spooky month. I was originally going to do a pastel piece, because last time we did a stream, I was like, oh, we'll just draw something during the stream, that'll be great. But I completely forgot that what I wanted to do for these streams was to have a main theme, which was Kirby. So we're going to be continuing with that Kirby theme. But if you know anything about Kirby, then you know that Kirby bosses are a little bit messed up. So I'm going to be working with Marks today, who's my favorite boss of all time, just because I love Marks so much. Because he's a little bit spookier, and people like to draw him a little bit spookier, and so do I. And we're going to be working with a mostly dark palette. I want to kind of work with something more analogous this time around compared to a different one. I believe it was... What did I use to demonstrate? Because I did that one Kirby piece. I don't remember which stream that was, but the very first Principle of Design stream that we did, I decided to use a purple and orange palette. I believe this time I'm going to be working with just analogous, a lot of purples, because Marks is very purple. But I want to do something just a little bit spookier than what his canon design is, just because it's Halloween the 1st. Kirby character. Well, I've already kind of established that I wanted all the principles of design to be themed around Kirby. I believe I decided that with some of the other Wing Canvas staff. But I forgot to do it with movement, so that's why I did it again later. With a different Kirby character. I'm going to be going a little bit more batty this time around. I'm feeling a little bit more like I want to use some more interesting teeth. Marks was a really fun character. I remember when I fought against him in Superstar Ultra. He was so hard. And then I fought against him in Smash, and I was like, this is not the same battle. It was so easy. Maybe it's just because I got older, but Marks was a lot harder when I was a kid. But I love this design. I'm a really, really big fan of it. That makes him spooky cute. He's a really cool boss. He reminds me of Jewel from Deltarune. Well, Marks came out first. This is not really what I wanted. I've also not played Deltarune, the second chapter, yet. I'm going to during reading week. University is murdering me, so I am like, one day I will. Should I stick with this? I guess I could, and then I can just... Whoop! Yes, because that's what Marks does. Splits himself in half to summon the void. He's such a fun boss. It's such a cool design. I had so... Like, when I first saw him split in half, I was like, yo! That's so gross! You know, the 8-bit pixel look. Yeah. The bow tie gives him some extra pizzazz, yeah. It's really funny. His whole thing was like he wants to rule the galaxy, so he sends Kirby off on this mission to defeat the Wishing Star or something. Or no, he sends Kirby off to go. Yeah, it's to defeat the Wishing Star, so then he can come in and have his wish of take over the galaxy or something. And then you have to defeat both the Wishing Star and Marks. Can you believe that game starts off with like, Kirby's hungry. He's gonna eat a piece of cake. Going with a bit of a strange perspective here. I wanted to do some kind of like interesting foreshortening. With a bit of asymmetry. Kind of feeling just a little bit fisheye. I don't exactly know what I'm doing though, that's the issue. So I'm kind of just started drawing and I'm like, how am I going to feel with this composition at the end? So how am I going to line this or paint this? Whatever I decide to do. Maybe blue this up a little bit. Somehow like bosses like these. I think he's neat and cute. He doesn't love the splitting boy. Yeah, no, I love Marks. Marks is one of my favorites. Marks is my favorite, actually. I don't think I have a boss that I like more than Marks. Like, if I had to think of all the other video game bosses that I've fought, I think Marks is, like, my favorite one. I do kind of like this perspective here, but I'm not a big fan of the composition. So let's try another one. Because I don't want it to be too symmetrical. Let's try a composition with just marks. Let's try something like that. Because I was going to have like Kirby in there. Because I'm like, because this is still a Kirby character. So I could just have marks in there. But I'm like, do I want to? That's the thing. Because I do kind of want marks as the focal point. Let's try horizontal composition. I haven't done one of those yet. With a Dutch angle. Oh, there we go. Let's go. Sometimes that's all it takes. Dutch angles are where it's at. And let's just draw Mark's hole. If you're gonna draw sharp teeth, intersperse it with regular human teeth. It gives it a bit of a more interesting look than if you made them all sharp. Can you make them all sharp? Yes, but I find that it makes it a little bit more fun if you have some that aren't sharp. If you want something that's actually creepy, then you don't use any sharp teeth at all. It always deals better with the more uncanny valley sort of idea if you don't use anything sharp, because the more like approximately human it looks, the better, the creepier it will be. Uncanny Valley tends to be a favorite of a lot of artists, horror artists. Yes, I will be giving more spooky tips for the month of Halloween. Jack Frost from the Persona games is really good for spooky and cute. Every single time I think of Jack Frost, I can only ever think of the one from Rise of the Guardians. He's the only Jack Frost that matters. I'm sorry. I think my favorite, other than Marks, I think my favorite example of kind of spooky cute. I guess he's a little bit more cool. My favorite was always Pride from Full Metal Alchemist. I really like that character. Kind of like how Meat Canyon does his teeth. Yes, indeed. Meat Canyon's a great artist. Bet Goku could split this Marx guy in half. M-A-R-X. I guess so. I'm too old for anime comparisons, man. But yeah, sure. Yeah. I agree. Marx was not, as I've gotten older, Marx is not that hard to defeat, but I just love him. I think he's an interesting, really fun character. That bow tie is snazzy. Yeah, B. Let's make it. Let's actually. It's really because it's so good. I want those like kind of more gross tendrils because when he first splits apart, that's when the gross tendrils kind of come out. But it's when he's completely split apart that the black hole shows up. So I'm like, let's just kind of mix the two. Let's not make it perfectly exactly what it's like in the game. Let's take some artistic liberties here. Because yeah, when he splits in half, then it's like a black hole shows up. And then you have to run in the opposite direction. That one's one of my favorites. Another one that's one of my favorites is when he summons nerves. They look like nerves, like just human nerves out of the ground, and you have to avoid them or else they'll like burn you. That's another one that I really like. Yeah, this one feels a little more cohesive. I'm probably gonna paint this one. It's why I'm being a little bit more rough with my sketch. I'm kind of in the mood to do some quick painting. I could probably do it in an hour. Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad. Oh, this designer got him drip drip. Have you seen the Gorefield stuff? Of course, I love Lumpy Touch. Lumpy Touch is one of my favorite artists. Lumpy Touch is one of my favorite pixel artists. The original Gorefield stuff was oh no. William Burke or Will Burke? Yeah. I think it's just Will Burke now. Yeah, the original Garfield horror was by Will Burke. I'll always love the original more than the than the pixelated stuff, but like Will Burke had a really cool technique that I'd see sometimes where they would use she. Let me see. I remember yeah. So William Burke, she used a really great technique that I think is what she used, and it was starting with black and then using a thin white brush to add on the values afterwards, so working in reverse. And that's such a cool technique. I've never been able to master it. But it's a really good look, and I really loved it. Yeah, so the black hole there. Let's add Kirby in the corner here. Should I have him cut him off? Yeah, cut him off. So then I can have more leading lines that go towards him that way. I'm gonna use the sword Kirby design because I think that's funny. I could use what's it called? Beam Kirby? I could use Beam Kirby, but then I'm like, but then that might ring too similarly to Mark's. So I'm gonna use sword Kirby. Yeah. Yes. I can't do anything too scary, but I want to have some fun with Marks. Okay, let's clean this up just a little bit, and I'll get into the painting portion. Hello, Art Cat Draws. Welcome in. You made art. Let's go. We love art. I mean, clearly. Yeah, I'm not going to do any lining. I feel like painting today. Mark's black hole is actually Kirby's stomach. Ooh, true. That's where he summons it from. That'd be kind of strange if Kirby... Oh, actually, well, yeah, if Kirby gets sucked in, would that mean that, like, Kirby just kind of goes inside out? That's a bit of a strange one. Yeah, show a bit of those gums. That's a good time. You beat him by eating too much. I remember Mark's had like 3 phases or something. It was so annoying. It was like the first one you beat, and then there's another one. I'm like, oh. And then there's another one, I think. And I was like, oh, what? So come on. Did I see the owl cat? Yes, I did. I think I said that it was cute. Everything that you send within the Discord, I will see. Even if I don't reply, I will always see it. Spooky month. Yeah, I'm feeling like adding a tongue. He doesn't have a tongue like this, but I don't care. I think it's just kind of fun. Hello, Flexology. Welcome in. What am I drawing? I'm drawing Marks from Kirby. We're going to be doing Unity through color, so I'm going to be using a predominantly purple palette, but I'm going to be working with an analogous palette, so I'm going to be going from purple to magenta to dark blue, so I'm going to be kind of sticking within those ranges. Oh, by the way, I have magenta gouache, like bright magenta gouache. It's fantastic. It's like so fluorescent and like hard to look at. It's the best. I have not posted on the Discord in a while. That's okay. Take care of yourself. If you're busy, then don't worry about it. I don't post that often in the Discord either. I'll reply to conversations, but my artwork doesn't usually go on there as often as it used to. Mostly just because all I do nowadays is schoolwork. I'll post my schoolwork every once in a while, but never anything too frequent. Let's go with, yeah, let's add some different movement in there. Give it a bit of a different action. Marks is so good. It was such a good design. What other Kirby villains that I like? I actually liked the Kirby Star Allies villain. I know that a lot of people didn't. Or some people didn't. I quite liked Void Termina. I think it was kind of fun that you had to end the void. I think that's great. very excited for whatever the heck the final boss in the new Kirby game is gonna be. You know, because the other games, it's like they start off, I want to eat with my friends, I want to play with my friends, and then it ends up with, like, you know, ending the void. We start off in an abandoned city, it's not gonna be good. I said that to my best friend, and then I saw a tweet about it, like, a couple hours later, and I was like, man, should have tweeted it first. I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna color this. It's okay. I'll figure it out when I get to it. It's a bridge I'll cross when we get there. It's future me's problem. Yeah, create more of that action. It gives it a bit of flow, gives it a bit of movement, and that's what we want. Yeah. Same, I'm doing college homework. Yeah, I vibe with that. I'm just like illustration in university. Like I switched from college to university, right? It's like a college had a lot of work. I didn't realize how much work university would be. That workload is so different. It's like right before this, I was completing a quiz and reading a textbook. It's gotten to the point where, like, reading 10 pages of a textbook is considered graceful. It's like, wow, only 10 pages? That's fantastic. It's like, thank God, I don't have to read 60. It's like, oh, my perception of what is a lot has changed so much. Yes, today's the first day of Inktober. I'm gonna be doing Demontober, just because I think that's a little bit more fun. Also up my alley. All the ads on YouTube that don't involve art make me want to buy them less. Valid. Planning for the first drawing of Inktober to be a guide with the head of a crystal floating in the air with a crystal floating above the hands, finally making a crystal behind it. Cool. Very interesting. Crystals are tough. Mostly because it's like, if you want a more natural looking crystal, then you have to also know how to draw rocks. Rocks are also tough. As you get older, you'll notice how tough rocks are to draw. It's like, I find that young people, it's like, oh, it's just a rock, it's not hard. And then you get older, you're like, rocks. God, how many rocks do I have to paint? 10 pages isn't even a chapter. Oh no, that is a chapter. It feels like a lot when it's just about color theory and stuff like that, but I might actually finish this one on my own time because I do like this composition a lot. I might just do that on my own time. Just doesn't work for the current one. My other chapters of my I gotta, like, before this, I guess the reason why I went for, like, very old art within the lesson portion today was just because I've had to read a lot of Mesopotamian kind of, like, really old artwork. We're in ancient Egypt now, I believe, and I gotta read about that. That's a good, like, 60 pages that I've gotta digest, and then another hour lecture that I have to watch. That's 60 pages, by the way. It takes a good, like, 90 minutes to read. It's like I have to sit there and read it all within the week. Oops. I didn't save this one. Wing canvas. This is stream number 33. This is the demo portion, so this is 33-1. There we go. Rocks, yes. What's Inktober? So Inktober is a thing that you do every single day of the month, and you draw a different ink drawing for every single day of the month. Oh, they go in the other direction. My bad. I've never actually drawn Marks with this much detail. I've drawn Marks, like, his face. I've drawn just, like, the original form, like, his, like, more cute look, but I've never actually drawn the full body Marks, which is, like, you know, blasphemous. So, this is me finally getting, the Marks content that I crave. I want a Marks plushie really badly, of, like, this form. You can get a Mark's plushie of like his like more normal form really easily. I really want this one though. Can't wait to see all your spooky October drawings. Yes. I don't know if I'll be posting all of mine, but as in like in the Wing Campus Discord, but I will be posting them elsewhere. Hour 30 minutes. Oh, it's 5:10. Okay, let me just finish this cleaner sketch first, and then we can talk a bit about the studio. Hour 30 minutes of reading, yeah. I love reading, but man, sometimes it's like I sit there. You know that meme where it's, or not the meme, but like you know that trope where it's like you have the kid and they're like have to read from their math textbook or they're doing math homework or something and then they fall asleep in front of their textbook. That was me reading my textbook. Like no offense to anybody else who's in my class. I don't think anybody in my class is watching this. But or ever will. But that I can't lie. I'm not a huge fan of like super ancient art reading. I guess it's like I'll watch it, I'll learn about it if like it's in a video. I love watching like art history videos. I think those are a lot very, like really interesting. But if you tell me to sit down and read it in a textbook, I probably won't pay attention very well. Do I memorize a lot of it? Yeah, I actually do. But I don't find it that fun. I think that's the difference. It's like that's why I listen to like 40-minute videos of art like restoration and like I'll listen to it and I'll absorb it and I'm like, oh, it's so cool. But then if you told me to sit down and read about restoration, I don't think I'd pay attention. It's like you gotta engage me somehow. Part of me's thinking about getting the audiobook for my textbook just so I can listen to it too, but I'm like, man. Yeah, you gotta fight him on like this, like it's like a void plane. He like what's it called? He like summons this whole other plane of existence. You have to fight him on there. It's like same with Void Termina. You get that a lot with Kirby. It's like summoning a different plane of existence. Kind of want to go with something a little bit more bent though. Let's actually turn this layer off. Let's try this again. So I want the peak to be right here. Maybe not. Maybe here-ish? All depends on the perspective that I'm kind of doing. Because if it feels off, then it will be. This needs to flatten out just a little bit more. Okay, that works. And then you can just... Cool. Okay. This is a very animators kind of technique with the perspective grid. It's always good to know different techniques. You never want to just stick with one. It's usually better to know multiple so that you can have different ways to problem solve. This should actually be turned down if we're going with perspective. Cool. Okay. Forget to label my layers. Please do. Probably do like some yandere girl stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I'm not a fan of yanderes. I know that a lot of people are. I don't like them. I don't like tsunderes either. I think that they're both. It's a trope that I loved when I was a kid, and then I got older, and I'm like, man, it's like it's used a lot. If you like them, all the more power to you. Do not let my opinions hinder your own. But like I guess I've just gotten so bored. Anyway, yeah, always need to do that. Name your layers. I'm not really. Watching videos about old history just makes me so comfortable that I just sleep. That's valid. 100%. Baumgartner Restoration is a really good channel. That's the one I watch. If you're into painting restoration videos, guy's really good at explaining the process as he goes. That's the one that I watch. I love watching his channel. It's so good. His voice is so soothing. He's such a good mic. I'm like, oh. I'm a very big sound person. So like if you got a good sound, aim to that. Very good. Yandere Dev hasn't even finished his game yet. Exactly. I haven't I've stopped paying attention to him. Let's have some varnish on this bad boy. Let's go varnish. Okay. Before we keep going though, let's talk a bit about the studio. So if you did not know, we're not just an art channel, we're also an art school. I am one of the instructors. I teach some of the people that are in the chat right now. So if you would like to check out the classes that we offer, feel free to check them out on our website, where you can check out all the classes that are available currently. You can get critiques and feedbacks and guidance from your instructors. I am one of them. Other people who sometimes pop into the chat are others. So if you'd like to check out the classes that we offer, feel free to do so there. This file that you see in front of you, including the lesson plan, will both be available as JPEGs on our Discord. So if you are not part of the Discord yet, feel free to join us there. We have a lot of fun. We post our work. We hang out. You know, so if you'd like to see what this final work is, you'd like to keep it, save it, download it, do whatever you want with it, just don't repost it. It's all yours as a JPEG on the Discord. But if you want access to my layers, there will be a fair amount of layers in this illustration. Especially, you're gonna have to join our Patreon, and our Patreon is where you can get access to my working files for as little as $5 a month. And there you can also get access to behind the scenes stuff. So if you'd like to check out everything that we like to offer, feel free to with the descriptions down below or with Nightbot's prompting. All right, let's get into the color. Now, I'm going to do what Picasso's strategy was, and that was with the wash first. The wash, quote unquote, which just means I'm going to paint bucket in a color real quick. Oh, I should change this to multiply. Let's do that. Yeah. I'm going to zoom out really, really far. And what this technique does is it gives me a big kind of idea of the entire canvas. So that way I am not hindered. Oh, doesn't like this brush, huh? Fine. Oh, you don't like that one either? Why are you working so slow? Oh, you know what? It's because my canvas size is huge. Yeah, it's a big canvas. All right, I guess I do have to kind of stay zoomed in for this one a little bit. Boo. Okay. Yeah, they don't like it when I move a little bit too quickly. Oh, that's the wrong layer. That's why it's so dark. I was like, what's up with that? There we go. That's a little bit better. I was like, why are you working so dark with that? Yeah, so this gives me a bit of a better idea. What I want this whole thing to be. I'm being very radial with this one. And that just means that I'm kind of making it very rounded on the edges. Compared to if I just kind of went straight across. This gives it a bit of a nicer, slightly more... what's it called? It's a little bit more of a dynamic look. Just kind of get that rounding in there. Should I go super dark for this? No. Let's go with... that's a little bit better. Then let's fix some of that. What's great is I added that grid, so it gives me a bit of a better idea of the foreshortening that I plan to use. Because I do plan to use a little bit of it. Not a great amount, but enough. Ha! Mom's spaghetti! Kirby's bolting. He's facing him head on. The hat is just flipping forwards. I'm gonna have to figure out how to make that more clear. Looks like Gengar's using Shadow Ball again. I don't remember what came out first, Pokemon or Kirby. Do you know what? I think it is actually Pokemon that came out before Kirby, if I remember correctly. I don't 100% remember all the dates. I don't care enough. They're both great. I don't care. I remember there was like a grid or something that I actually did that was like present in the fight with Marks. It was like a really cool grid floor that I always liked the effect of. Kind of. Not quite. I'll fix all of this eventually. Yeah, I'll fix it later. That's what zooming in later is for. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll refine all this later. I should have added that grid last. So be it. Whatever. This is my background. Let's just put that in there real quick. Ah, sorry about that. Okay. This looks amazing. Thank you. I think it looks pretty rough right now, but it's fine. We're on our way. We're on our way. Okay. Let me change this to 60 again. Let's work with this. Because I just want to give a nice flat underpainting real quick before I get into anything interesting. Because we are working with a little bit more of an analogous / monochromatic kind of color space here. I'm not going to be throwing on a crazy amount of colors, so I'm not scared of them this time around. Not scared of worrying about HSV as much as usual. Let's see. Thank you. One thing I know is that Jack Black is going to carry the movie, the Mario movie. I'm so horrified for that movie. I'm so excited, but for all the wrong reasons. I cannot wait for the Mario movie. It's going to be awful. I'm so excited. Now, in my brain, I'm trying to think, okay, what's the most efficient way to do this one? That won't murder me. And what my brain is saying is, like, I could do my normal single layer approach, but that might actually be detrimental to me this time. I think with Unity is that it's not as like obvious, or it's like not as easy to literally show compared to say like variety, balance, anything like that. A unified piece is you got to use everything at once. So it's like if we focus on one thing, it's gonna have unity or variety within the other elements as well. So it's a bit tough to kind of show as one big thing. Am I doing my best? Yeah, I'm trying. I do really want to keep the color of this insides though, which is like a bright like turquoise, which is why I'm working with I'm working with analogous as well as a bit of monochromes because I want that turquoise in there. It'll give a nice focal point to the whole thing. Even though it stays within the bounds of the original palette, it'll be like the only point of turquoise, so it'll be a nice kind of pop within this palette. Hopefully. We'll see. I'll have to figure it out when I actually get there. And I'm also, you could probably notice that I haven't used any of my shortcuts when it comes to actually coloring. I'm manually coloring everything in, and that's just because I don't have clean line work, so it's hard to use. I can't use my normal tricks, so I have to work in a more traditional sense in order for it to work, period. Gotta go in a few minutes. That's okay. What should you do for your next art piece? I don't know. Maybe go buy an October art prompt. Doesn't have to be Inktober. There are tons of them out there. One of them that I really wanted to do last year but ended up not doing because I was like really busy was Cringetober. That one looked like so much fun. I really wanted to do it. And I was like, part of me was like, am I gonna do it this year? But there's no 2021 list. It's still just the regular 2021. So I ended up. I'm probably gonna go with Demontober instead because that one is a little bit more up my alley. Because I want one that's a little bit less stressful and more just like whatever I'll draw for like one thing in a day. I already draw every day, but this one's a little bit less thinky. It's a little bit easier to manage. Oh, the hexagons. don't like drawing geometry. Mix between a cat and an owl, maybe. What's the cringe one about? It's just you gotta draw as much. There's like prompts that are considered cringe, and you gotta draw one every single like day. It's the same as Inktober, just with a different prompt list. It looked like so much fun. I was like, oh my god, I gotta do that one, and then I just never did because I didn't have time. Cringe-tober. That one looked like so much fun. I'm such a big fan of cringe. Like it's like unironically, I love cringe. I live for cringe. It's not even funny. Like I love cringe. Because I don't think it's cringy anymore. It's like I find that like cringe is not cringy to me anymore, so I think it's really funny. And I'm like, man, if I only could. Because I'm not worried about being cringe anymore. I don't care. So it's like, it's just, life becomes so much more fun when you don't care. Yeah. I want to go for that, like, hounded look. And let's go with this, like, crazy teal. I'm trying to play with colors that, yes, that don't, like, match with what more traditional artists say to use. I'm trying to go with stuff that's a little more bright, a little bit more out there. I'm having so much fun with it. It's like, it's so good. Pick a number from 1 to 29. Let's go with number 7. Yeah, that feels a little bit stronger. Let's actually pick that again. There we go. That feels stronger. Yeah, worrying about if you're cringe is so boring. It's like, it's so much more fun to just go like, whatever, man. I may be cringe, but I'm free. That's my favorite thing. Yeah, I honestly love everything cringe too. It's nice when people are authentic with what they like. 100%. Hi, my name is Jessie. I'm addicted to cringe. So true. It's like, I just don't find it cringe anymore. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. It's like, you know what? Whatever. Do what you like, man. If you enjoy it, nobody should bring you down on that. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, you know. Like what you like. I think it's more cringe to, like, actually cringe to, like, tell people that things that they like are cringe, that they shouldn't like it. I think that's more cringe. It's like, bro, go get a job. Go touch some grass. Whatever. Why do you care? Yeah. This is so fun. I'm like, ugh, it feels good to just draw whatever. What side's blue? It is this side. Okay. So this one should be a bit colder. And this side should be a bit warmer. You like purple? So do I. Hello, HB Custom. Welcome in.
Have a good stream.
I don't know if you heard my brother. I'm sorry. He just decided to pop in. Explosion and stars. Have fun. I'm combining them. Fantastic. I didn't notice until now that... Oh, that tongue is split into 2. Yeah. I kind of messed up on the effect of it, so I'm probably gonna heighten that some more. What if I... that works actually. Let's do that. So it kind of heightens the idea that it's split. You need that extra color in there in order to kind of hype it up. Yeah, I guess I am going to do my 1-layer rendering. Because I have no other way to do it. That is about the same value as the... Okay. What I'm doing, because I'm changing the color scheme entirely, is that I am instead taking the value of each of the original colors and trying to match them to the... or the warmth of each of the original colors and try to match them to this new palette, right? So the bow is more warm, but I'm not going to work with the warmth in that one. The shoes are about the same value as the hat, as in the blue side of the hat. So I'm matching the value of that to try and kind of let it ring the same. The wings, however, are about the same value as the body. A little bit warmer though, and I want a difference in tone, or a difference in hues. I'm gonna actually switch this a little bit. I want it to be bright though. That's tough. Because I don't want it to be too far out. That should be fine. Happy Inktober, yes. Happy 1st of Halloween. Arcane Lichens. Welcome in. Honestly, I don't like the cringe compilations. I get that some kids can be way too extra, but the fact you just bully someone when someone is still improving, you call it cringe. 100%. Kids are cringe, but that's just because, like, they're trying to have fun. You know? Whatever. Like, kids be kids. I just had to let that out. 100%. Yeah. Okay. Let's fix some of this real quick. The people who call other people cringe are afraid of being cringe themselves. That's the way that I look at it. And there's no need to be afraid. Just do whatever you want, man. Sorry. Need to check a couple things real quick. Okay. Epic. Yeah. So if I kind of zoom out, your eyes immediately still go to that teal section. That's what I want. I want your eyes to immediately travel to a specific area. These do need to be, oopsies, these do need to be a bit brighter though. To kind of match with his madness. But I can't go too far outside of this purple blue range thing. Let's keep it. Let's do this color. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and this should be lighter. There we are. I thought secondary color is hard to make harmony ratio with major color. I'm a little confused about what you mean by that. Indeed, it would be great if you, if procrastination wasn't kicking me. I'm trying to train myself not to procrastinate anymore. So, train yourself. It's good for you. Okay, for my art piece, I'm going to do an owl cat looking at the night sky with fireworks going on. Oh, cute! Looking good so far. Thank you. My real name, yeah. My full name that I don't hear anymore. Thank you. Yeah, sounds like a winner. It sounds great. Hey, Jessie. Oh, both works. I'm just more used to Jessie. Jessie is considered my work name. Jessica is considered my extremely formal name. Jess is what friends call me most of the time. So it's like, it's always strange. Whenever I'm on stream, it's always strange to hear anything other than Jessie. But technically, it's whatever works. But you know. Okay. So this area is cold. He has a cold. Because of that hat, it's green normally, so this should be a bit colder. It should technically be in between, but I'm like, okay, whatever. It should be this color. Work with that. Yeah, I do need to make it a little bit more clear that he's facing forwards, but I'm like, I guess I'll just have to figure out how. Okay, let's add some shading onto this real quick. Let's add some quick shading onto this. So what I can do here is just darken everything except for that teal, which I do want to leave kind of light. I'm going to also fix up some of the other areas because I want this teal to be real bright. Same with the wings. I want these to be pretty bright here as well. Because they're meant to be glowing. They're glowy, so I'm like, I might as well just come a little bit stronger over here. It's at a hard light layer. Let's have fun with it. Yes. Sorry, if I ever go quiet, I'm kind of focusing. I'm trying to think. Yeah, because we can have a bit of bounce light from the wings here. I'm trying to think if I want it that intense, though. Because I probably don't. Around here, maybe, but not here. Yeah. Let's darken it some more. Oops, let's change this to a multiply layer real quick. There we go. Yeah, that feels stronger. Okay. Just because when your angry parents called you. Not even. Send it to the fan art when you're done. Let's see the outcut. Yeah. Your fight or flight turns on every time your parents call your first name. True? Going to tennis. I'm doing tennis now. Alright, have fun. Archive Jots posted in Discord. Yes. Kind of reminds me when Arthur punched DW. So true. I love that. He just straight up decks her. I think that's really funny. It's been so long since I've watched Arthur. Arthur was like my childhood show. So what I'm doing right now is just kind of blocking out. Let's see this real quick. Oh, my bad. What I'm doing right now is I'm kind of just blocking out everything. What that means is I'm just kind of figuring out where I want all of my values to go, where I want all my color to go. Oops. Currently, I'm just trying to figure out all my bounce light, what kind of light I want happening. So I'm going with kind of a blue light for fun. Again, keeping it majorly purple. I want that majorly purple kind of look. I'm probably going to go for something a little bit rougher in terms of painting. I mean, I have to. It's we're getting real close to the end here. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. One layer. Let's go. Come on, merge. Let's go. And now we just blend it. Is this a good strategy? Not always. I am a bit insane because I like to do this kind of strategy, which is like merge everything and work from there, which is something that a lot of people don't recommend doing. I don't recommend it either. I just really like working in this way. Because I get to work a little bit faster. I think that's why I like it. But it is a tough, a bit of a tougher kind kind of a less smart move. So I don't recommend it, but if you want to try rendering like me, absolutely feel free to. But yeah, merging everything into one layer is not really the smart move, but it's how I work quicker. Bye. Kind of like vaporwave 80s art. Yeah, it's if you look at Marx's old Battlefield, it's very much like that. And of course, using the power of color theory, I can figure out how to make this a bit brighter. This is a bit deep. I kind of want to soften up the iris. I quite like it when the iris is not like a perfect harsh circle. I kind of like it when it's a bit more faded into the actual eye itself. It's a technique that I see a lot of more cartoony people do. I really love that technique a lot. I think it looks really cool. Yeah, apologies if I ever go kind of silent. It's just because I'm focusing a little bit harder. Yeah, this is a fun one. I'm just kind of messing around at this point. I haven't really done a really rough looking painting in a while, so it's like I'm kind of having fun here. Boy with pipe has some real competition for monster with a bow tie. I see. Put a parental advisory on the bottom. These aren't my characters, so I can't really claim ownership of them. Or Nintendo will come for me. Oh, sorry, I stopped talking for a second. I'm trying to make this look shiny. Bit more of a harsh, because it's supposed to be like a gemstone. I'm trying to make it a bit more of a harsh kind of transition between each of the colors. So I'm kind of just trying to give it that slight harsh color effect. Yeah, okay. Good enough. Okay. I don't want to spend forever on it. I'm trying not to get too clean with this one. Oh, actually, that helped. That one little spot of color. Okay. Because I don't want to get too intense with this one. I don't want to spend forever here. Because I can't stay today for very long afterwards. It's like you notice me not really rendering out the face much. I'm still working on color, though. I feel like I've been just sketching for years. However, I'm trying to work with color more when I'm drawing. I have to figure out shadows and everything. Yeah, people who are uploading soundtracks. That I kind of understand, though, because you can't really just upload music that isn't yours. You have a story for the Alcott artwork? Incredible. Yes, tell us the story. I'm still working on color, though. We do have a color video for the Elements of Art, if you'd like to check it out. If you want to kind of learn from that. Color is really, really fun. It is difficult, though, if you've never really worked with it before. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. But yeah, color can be tough, especially if you've never worked with it before. Work towards it. I recommend starting with your really basics first and then getting into the more tough stuff. Focus on your palettes and your swatches and whatever, or your schemes first, and then actually get into learning the colors. Wait, I get it. Is this 4chan? No, this is a Kirby character. No. This is Marks. He's from Kirby. Oh, you're watching from Thailand. Good morning at 5 a.m. That's so early. We're streaming from Canada, so we're quite a ways away, but welcome in. Glad to have you in, and thank you for your early morning sacrifice, because that would end me. I already struggled getting up at 8, so like I could never. I should have gone with, you know what, let's just go with straight black. That might look a little bit nicer. Yeah, that's a lot harsher. That's what I want. For once, I thought this 4chan, my bad. That's fine. No, the little reference that I have up on the top left, that's who I'm drawing. This is Marks. He's one of the classic Kirby bosses. Yeah, Owlcat or Starlight was cast out of her clan when they think that she did that to the kittens. Her friend comment, "You're asked to send fireworks in the sky to let Starlight know they're trying to clear her name." Cute! I'm not the type to always add stories to my artwork. Sometimes I just draw for the sake of drawing. I think it's healthy to do. You don't always have to add deeper meanings. Sometimes you just want to draw, man. But yeah, no, I love it. Very cute. Let's do this to kind of fix the balance there. Yeah, this is definitely more of a misty kind of technique I'm going for here. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm having fun, so whatever. It's probably just easier to, yeah. Morbid is the theme of the month, my friend. We are in spooky month. Halloween the 1st today. I mean, look what I'm drawing, so. Ooh, my YouTube recommended me an ARG before we came into stream, and I was like, man. I watched one of the episodes. I'm definitely gonna watch the rest because that was really good. I love ARGs. It's which one was it? What is it called? I don't remember. Wait, no, I sent it to my friends. The Mandela catalog, really good. I love ARGs. I'm not skilled enough to write an ARG, but that'd be really cool. I love ARGs. Mandela catalog rings really similarly to Local 58. Good times. I'm picking up a lot of color from other areas on the painting, and what that helps with is it really helps bring the unity back in within the entire piece. It helps it feel unified because I'm using the same colors over and over, despite putting them in different places. And this kind of helps everything feel more cohesive. Also trying not to rely on line work. I'm trying to kind of blend in the values so that it makes everything pop naturally. But I can't help it sometimes. Sometimes it just looks better. You mentioned it, I might make a comment. Go for it. Will the child of an owl bear be called a chub? Chicklet and a cub. Perhaps. Don't know. I'm trying to think of like another one that could work, but I'm like, I don't know, I'm pulling up a blank. Definitely could be if you want it to be. Oh, cublet! That sounds a bit better. There we go. Thank you, Daria. Big brain. Search Clip Studio on YouTube and you found my live stream. Interesting. Interesting. I'm working in Photoshop, so not Clip, but hey, glad you found us. Glad you're here. Welcome in. We learned about unity and harmony before this, so we were learning about principles of design. Hello, I'm Basil. Something that sucks is that my school ends when the stream starts because I go on the bus after school. It takes me 30 minutes to get home. That's okay. You've always got the ability to watch it afterwards as well. So if any of you ever miss a stream, you have the ability to watch it afterwards. It'll always be up on the channel for you to rewatch. It is different to watch it in person though, so it's why we kind of encourage that you watch it in person. But if you can't make it, that's okay. Things happen. You got other commitments. Don't worry. Don't worry. No, that should be pointing the other way. This should be pointing upwards. Oof, 6 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Let's... I might go a little bit over, but I'm trying not to go too over. Because I can't stay. If anything, I'll post this one, and then I might clean it up afterwards a little bit more. But this one's definitely going to be a bit of a rough painting, but that's okay. Might add in some extra little fun bits. Anyways, the illustration looks nice. Thank you. Uploading the stream is kind of like digital varnish. Very true. I think it's a fun metaphor for it. Should have made this strengthened more. Yeah, that looks better than this. So I'm really just trying to bump up the values a little bit here, really work with them to try and make them feel a little bit more metallic. Shouldn't have used this blue. This purple is a little bit better. Okay. Okay. What color should the owl cap be? Perhaps make it similar to the galaxy that you're putting it in. 6 minutes left running in the 90s music intensifies. Basically. Because I do have to go after this. So I'm like... let's zoom. Oh, I didn't even do this bottom portion. Sometimes artists prefer not to. I am one of the artists. I am one of these artists. Some artists prefer not to smoothly render their work because it makes it feel a little bit over rendered. So sometimes what they do is they intentionally just use blocks of color and leave it like this. I'm trying to train myself to be more of a blender like that because I like the really incomplete sort of blend look where it's like it's not completely incomplete, but instead you focus on hues to work between colors rather than like softly blending it in. Because I'm not really a soft blender. I like the really harsh blending look that isn't like perfect. So I'm trying to train myself to work a little bit more like that. So I guess this this stream is like training almost. Training for me anyway. I am struggling though, so it's okay. It's okay. Is Medibank still not working? No. I'm hoping that I can fix it for next stream, but we'll see. I tested it out again. I tried some new things and it didn't work, so it's not that it doesn't work, it's that it has that awful like lag. So I'm like but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be fine for next stream. But for now you get me working in Photoshop. You could do Snow Owl pattern but reverse so she has dark feathers with white speckles. True. That's a really fun one. Aztec Sun Wheel wasn't smoothly blended either. Well, it was a carving. Yeah, it's just a lot of artists think that they need to smoothly blend, and they don't. So it's all up to you, really, what you prefer to do. It's really, this one is a stylistic choice, so it is up to you how you would like to blend your work in more. What's more important than the blending quality is more so the the use of color and value. Color and value and hue. Or sorry, I guess it is hue, value, saturation, so HSV. But that's more important than your blending quality. Because if you don't know how to work with colors, then you won't know how to work with your blending, regardless of the style that you choose. This is bothering me. I need to make some of the values a bit darker here. I need to make his silhouette a little bit more obvious, because right now it is very blended in with the background, which is the issue when it comes to working with a very harsh palette, but harsh monochromatic palette. Oh dear, it's 601. Okay. I may have to call it soon. Okay. That's fine. Just wanted to add some extra variety to these little things because they are just a little bit too flat for my liking. So I'm just giving them a bit of volume, I guess. Making them feel a little bit less like they're just there. Yeah, his silhouette fades a little bit too much for my liking. That's okay. I would have darkened the background, but it's all merged now. Can't really do that anymore. Normally I do the background a little bit more separate, but oh well. Let's do this. Let's have a little bit of a roughed-in strategy. Yes? No. You know what? That makes it look messy. How about we do some false liner? That helps, yeah. What I mean by false liner is like line art that doesn't completely encompass the form. And what that does is it kind of helps build up a silhouette by not overpowering the original forms that are there. So it's a bit of like just a strategy to kind of help bump everything up. Make it feel a little bit more in your face. Sorry, the chat goes by a lot and I'm not really staring at it. Give me a second. You have an urge to create a human anime version of this fortune creature. Marx? He's a Kirby character. M-A-R-X. Marx has a lot of anime kind of human versions of him. People have drawn him a lot. That black is too harsh. I should have used the purple again. My bad. just to kind of show that Kirby's a little bit more in the foreground, I'm actually going to do some proper harsh line work with him. Even though it's still just partial, but this way it kind of does feel like he's a little bit more in the foreground. Okay. That's going to do it for this one. Sure. Oh, wait, no. You know what? Let's bump this up. This is bothering me. Let's bump this up a little bit more. So I can make it a little bit more intense. Just a smidge. Just to clean it up just a little bit. Nothing intense, but it's good enough. Or else I'm going to be mad at myself. Okay. Okay, that's going to do it. All right. So that is going to be the end of this stream. And the end of this illustration. I actually had a lot of fun rendering those eyes. Those, I think, are my favorite part. But yeah, thanks so much for joining, y'all. Last little reminder that if you did not know, we are not just an art YouTube channel. We are also an art studio with art classes. So if you'd like to check out the classes that we offer, be sure to check them out on our website. I am one of the instructors, along with some of the other teachers that sometimes pop up into the chat. They weren't here today, but sometimes they are. So if you'd like to check out all the classes that we offer, the classes that are currently running, and the classes that will be running, be sure to check them out on our website. This file that you see in front of you, including the lesson that we learned earlier, will be available on our Discord as a JPEG. So if you'd like to check them out on our Discord, download them, keep them, save them, do whatever you want with them. It is all yours, but do not repost them. That is my only one wish. If you would like my working files, so that's the file with all these lovely layers within them, so you can see how my process works, then you're going to have to join our Patreon for as little as $5 a month. You can see my working files and some of the behind-the-scenes stuff within the channel. There's also a $2 tier option if you just want to see behind the scenes, but in order to get my working files, you're going to have to join for $5. But other than that, though, thank you so much for joining. I don't remember what we're doing next week. I never remember. I should always check, but I don't. Next week is... Oh, it's the art style challenge. So we're going to be doing the art style challenge next week. I'm going to ask you guys what our first art style that I'll be replicating will be in the poll, I believe. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining. I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.